And when you do the presentation, it's about 15 to 20 minutes. What is that?
Look at me, don't look at me. Not in this one.
Okay, it's between 15 to 20 minutes. You're going to have the slides, PowerPoint slides, and you're going to present professionally. If you are in the court and defending this case or judging this case, you have to be very familiar with it because you're going to get a grade for the presentation. And then that grade will be added on this.
Okay, so
And if you want to do this, let me know either this week or next week. So the deadline is next week. If by next week I have not heard from you, that means you're not going to do it. I hope that not everyone will do it because we won't have time to do it, Okay, so if you get really above, let's say, 75, then do not, because this is for, really, I want to give this opportunity to the people who really, really low grade, give them a chance to get back up.
So you want me to do it?
chill. I got 73. How much extra credit will we receive, for the presentation, added on?
She said it was gonna depend
What
on
I
how
said
busy
is
you do the
maximum
presentation.
could be 10 to 15, but that means you have to present extremely well. You have to do a lot of research on this case, and you have to be very well
73, man,
informed
at some
about
point.
this
Yeah, it
case.
really is.
Okay, so it's not going to say, okay, I do the presentation, I'm gonna get, no, you have to earn it.
Excuse me.
You have to do it, do it well. You have to show that you put some hours into this work, okay?
I'll tell you guys.
Is it clear?
She said she was gonna pass it around in the class.
Yeah, I'm going to pass attendance, last class. Yeah.
She
I'm
got smart
learning
with
my
that.
way.
She gonna start that next semester. She
I'm
can pass
learning.
out in the class. She gonna break about not coming.
Okay, so last class, we did, I went over the multiple choice questions, okay? I did not go over the problem solving questions, okay? So what I'm going to do today, I'm going to move on to a new chapter. And if I finish this new chapter, we have some time left, I may go over a couple of questions. And that I think, is really problematic, okay? Okay, so we finished the chapter 13 on monopoly. So today we're going to move on to chapter 15. We're going to come back to chapter 14 after we finish 15.
I thought that was chapter 12.
13 is monopoly, I believe, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. And so today we're going to go into another market structure, which is also imperfectly competitive, okay? This is not a monopolist market, it's called monopolist competitive market.
Yeah.
And I mentioned this market structure a little bit, I think a couple of lectures ago. Okay. And anybody remember the characteristic in this market? What is this market like?
You have market power.
Huh?
Market power.
They do have market power, that's true.
They differentiate their price.
That's right, it's a differentiated product. What else?
Large number of firms.
They have large number of firms, it's a competitive market, very good. Almost to cover most of it. What else? Where the market power comes from? We have a lot of competitors. A lot of competitors, that means each one has very small market share. Okay, so market power comes from what? Where? This one could be multiple choice question.
Well, it says in my notes that all market power comes from market share, but I guess it's not right.
From two sources. One is market share, the other one is differentiation.
Of their specific costs.
That's right, product differentiation. Come from these two sources.
Food
Okay.
and business.
Okay, so in this market, market power solely come from the product differentiation, okay? Because since this is a competitive market, you have a lot of providers, you have a lot of competition. No firm, no seller can have a very big market share. So your market power does not come from a big market share, come from product differentiation. Okay, the reason you can charge a higher different price, and that's higher than everybody else without losing all the customer is because you claim your product is different. What is market power? We mentioned about market power as well. How do we define market power?
Without losing customers.
Charging higher price without losing all the customers. That's right. And one last thing, entering and exiting. Is it easy entering, easy exiting in this market, or is there a barrier to enter or exit?
Isn't it?
Visibility.
Okay, barrier. What about you?
Isn't it like hard to enter it? Because if there's a monopoly, that means like one person or two people own this market.
This is not monopolist market.
Oh, yeah.
This is monopolist competitive market, where we have a lot of providers.
So it must be easy.
So it should be easy.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's not easy. We will not have that many competitors. Okay? So that's another characteristic you should add there if you don't have it. It's easy entering and easy exiting. Okay? So if you easy entering, easy exiting, that means if somebody is making a positive profit margin, other people can see that and can come in and start sharing that profit with the existing firm, right? So what do you think is going to happen in the long run? The profit made by the existing firm.
It's gonna go down.
It's going to go down until to what point? In a profit competitive market, what's going to happen in the long run? Economic profit converge to growth, right? And same thing can happen here as well. The reason is there's no entering, there's no exiting, and you have very competitive market. So as long as there is a profit margin existed in this market, somebody else is gonna come in, start sharing that. So eventually, all the profit margin will be exhausted. Okay? So this is another feature you need to remember in this monopolist competitive market. The long run, no firm is able to make any positive profit. Economic growth. And that's the same as the perfect competitive market. In a perfect competitive market, the same thing. In long run, profit is equal to zero. Okay? For the monopolistic market, what do you think is going to happen in the long run? Is there a barrier to enter or exit? Yes. So because there's a barrier to enter or exit, competitors cannot come in. We cannot, exhaust the profit margin existing in the market. So in the long run, the positive profit still can be maintained. Yeah. But in the perfect competitive market and the monopolist competitive market, no, in the long run, there's no positive profit margin can be sustained. Okay. Can you guys give me an example? A market that is monopolistically competitive?
Just this one. Like in general, just food place. Like food.
What kind of food? The food, the restaurant food or grocery food? Let's be more specific.
Restaurant food.
Restaurant market, it is, yes. What else? Can you think of something else?
You could say grocery too, because Kroger offers some vegetables that you can't get at like
Okay, so you're talking about grocery store, right? The grocery store market, right?
Sure.
Produce. Oh. So whenever we want to talk about the profit margin or the characteristic market, usually we want to be very specific. We want to know what kind of product are we talking about, milk or bread, or a toothbrush. Okay, so only through that kind of clear identification of the product, we can start analyzing the particular market. Okay, so in the grocery store, there's many things sold there, right? For some goods, it's probably some monopolist competitive market. For some of them, it may not be. And for some of them, it may be perfectly competitive. Yeah. Like, for the perfect competitive goods could be, potato, sweet potato. And you can get sweet potato, from the farmer's market and from your neighbor or from the other grocery store. So it really depends on the kind of product we're talking about. Okay. So this is a monopolist competitive market. This is a market that is, say in between. If this is a perfect competitive, this is monopolist. And monopolistically competitive. It's in between. Okay? Why we want to know that? Because later on we want to analyze those things. The price, output, consumer surplus, producer surplus, social welfare. And when we compare all those among these three different markets, monopolist competitive market comes in the middle, okay? So for example, the price. In which market the price is the lowest? In which market price is the highest?
Be the highest.
In which market the price is the lowest?
Perfect.
Competitive.
Okay? Highest?
Monopoly.
This market, that's in the middle. Output, in which market is lowest?
Monopolistic.
Monopolistic, which one is highest? Very competitive, okay? Consumer surplus, which one is the highest?
Perfect competitive.
Perfect, which one is the lowest? Monopolist, that's right, okay? Producer surplus,
It's the highest and
in the long run,
in the long run, monopolistic would be the highest.
monopolist will be the highest, how about this two? Producer surplus,
It's gonna be the monopolistically competitive.
what will be the producer surplus in the perfect competitive market and monopolistic competitive market in the long run?
It would be less if you go further to the left.
What is producer surplus?
Can you repeat all that? I didn't get any of that.
Okay, I will, okay. But I want to finish this discussion here. In the long run, okay, producer surplus in both perfect competitive market and monopolistic competitive market.
Are they the same?
In the long run, what's gonna happen?
Oh, they both converge towards zero.
Zero, okay? So producer surplus is equal to zero in both market. Let me move this to the side a little bit. Okay, and let's talk about last one, then I'm gonna do the writing here. Social welfare, which one should be the highest?
Perfect.
Perfect combined, which one should be lowest?
Monopolistic.
Good. Okay, so if I just use, this is 1, 2, 3, okay, market one, second market structure, third market structure. What we have is P1. Consumer surplus. use the surplus. This is equal to 0, okay? In the long run, it's equal to 0. Okay, social welfare, remember cell phone policy, okay? I really should just start charging some this money, then that will,
Can I turn it off?
what's that?
Can I turn it off? Can I turn it off?
Please.
Excuse you.
Okay, so that's the ranking of those concepts here. Okay. All right. So now let's talk more about monopolistic competitive market. And when we talk about the monopolistic market, we talk about the price and output, and we're going to do same thing. We want to develop optimal price and also optimal output. What is the profit maximizing rule we're going to use? What did we use for the monopolistic market?
MR equals MC.
Are we going to use the same thing here?
Sure, why not?
Yes.
Sure, why not?
Because MR equal to MC is universal rule. So that's no matter what market structure we're talking about, that's always the profit maximizing. Okay? Alright, so just like what we did in the monopolistic market, first we're going to have the cost curve that represent the firm's characteristics. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the ATC. I'm going to draw the MC. So these two curves, I did not draw the ABC, because this is really not necessary, because we want to talk about economic profit here, especially in the long run. So these two curves here represent the firm, okay? And represent the firm's productivity, cost function, production function, management, everything. Everything is embedded in those two curves, okay? Okay, in addition to those, so remember here, we're talking about monopoly competitive market. Each firm has its own segment of market they are trying to target. Okay, the example I use is Chinese takeout place target, the people who like Chinese takeout. So they have this specific segment of market they're trying to target. Okay, so that's the only relevant market and to this particular monopoly competitive firm. And so in this graph here, not only we have to have the firm, but also we have to have something represent that market there, okay? So I'm going to draw a demand here. This demand here represents the consumer who want to buy the product from this specific firm. Okay, so this is only one segment of market. Okay, does not represent the whole market. Okay. And then knowing this is the demand, this monopolist competitive firm is facing, then we can derive the marginal revenue from the demand. Marginal revenue always derived from the demand, okay? And always come from the same place and has a steeper slope than the demand. So this is marginal revenue. So if you compare this graph with the monopolistic market, exactly identical, it's the same. The graph is exactly the same. You have the cost curve, and you have a downward slope demand, and you have a marginal revenue line underneath that. All right? Okay. So if this represents dollar here, and this represents output. Can you tell me where is the optimal output?
Where are equals MC?
Where's MR equal to MC? We have MC here, and we have the MR here, they meet here, so we know this is the optimal output. Okay, so we figure out the optimal output. How do we figure out optimal price?
Straight up until it meets demand.
Straight up to the demand. Very good. Just like what we did for the monopolist. This is the price. Can you tell me what is the average total cost at this output? Is it going to be lower than this price or higher than the price this firm charges? Graph will tell you that. So if you're going to mark the ATC
It's almost higher.
at Q star, what's the value for ATC? At Q star, what is the value for ATC?
You mean where Keystar, like, do you mean where it meets under the graph, or?
I mean the value, the average total cost at Q equal to Q star. Where is that?
What's that point? That's like right over it, right over the
You
curve.
again, you draw the Q star up to where?
Where it hits ATC?
That's right. Where it hit ATC. Right, it's right here, right?
Yeah.
And that is the average total cost at Q star. So if the firm is produced this much, that's the average total cost. So it's lower than the price charged, right? So what does it indicate? When positive economic profit. Because economic profit is equal to total revenue minus total cost, P multiplied Q minus ATC multiplied Q. Combine the common factor is P minus ATC multiplied Q. So you know this small area here, this small rectangle represents the economic profit made by this particular monopolistic competitive firm, right? Everybody's with me here? Okay, good. This graph here, this profit here represented the short run. In the short run, what can happen to a firm? The firm can make a positive profit. By using the profit maximizing rule, MR equal to MC, they can make a positive profit. But we just talk about it. This is competitive market. If there is a positive profit margin existed in the market, what's going to happen?
More people gonna enter it.
Other firms will come in. Other firms will come in. All right, so I want to ask you here. When other firms start coming in, how that's going to affect this demand?
It's gonna go down.
The demand is going to go down because some consumer may buy the other product, right? So demand is going to shift down, shift that direction.
So they don't have a negative if they don't like it.
They're not going to go to negative. Just wait, you have.
Does marginal revenue shift with demand?
Oh yeah, because margin revenue is derived from demand. So every time demand shifts, the margin revenue will shift. So okay, so that's one of the shift is demand is going to go down. Okay. I also want to ask you another thing is in terms of elasticity. We talk about in chapter 5, elasticity. Do you think this demand will become more or less elastic as more and more competitors come in?
More elastic.
More elastic. Now the consumer are very responsive to the change of price, right? Because they don't have to buy the product from you, they can buy from somebody else. So the demand for your product becomes more elastic. When the demand becomes more elastic, the demand line becomes flatter or steeper.
More steep.
Steeper.
flatter,
Right. Oh.
flatter, okay? So that means when demand goes down and demand becomes more elastic, which is flatter. So there's two things happening when you make a positive profit. So demand is going to shift this way and also become flat and flat. At which point do you think this kind of change will stop? So the cost curve assume that remains the same. There's no new technology, okay, that the firm will adopt as competitors come in. So this curves, marginal cost curve and ATC remain the same, but this demand and marginal revenue is gonna shift, okay? Every time it shifts, the profit is going to be smaller and smaller and smaller. Eventually, it's going to be zero. Okay, when is going to be zero? When it's shifting away, that P star is exactly equal to ATC. Then that economic profit will be zero. Then we reach what we call the temporary stable situation. Okay. So now I'm going to draw a graph, show you what it's like in the long run. Okay, so I'm going to do this way. And in the long run, it should look like this. And you should learn how to draw this graph because you will be asked to do this final. Okay? So Q star is determined by the marginal cost and marginal revenue. And if we draw this straight line up to ATC and demand, they meet at the same point. So this is not only the P star, but also the ATC at Q star. So that is long run equilibrium
For the monopolistic competitive.
in a monopolist competitive market. So in the long run, it's always going to shift to that way. So drawing this graph, there's a little bit trick. You have to make sure this ATC is tangent to the demand at exactly this point here, where the Q star pointing at.
On the exam, what would you ask, like what a monopolist competitive market is equal to zero?
So in the exam, what my
This one.
give you that graph there, give you some number, ask you to calculate economic profit in the short run, then ask you, okay, please draw the graph, show me the long run equilibrium point. What it's like in the long run. Okay, so you should know how to draw the graph like this. Okay, to show me that profit, economic profit is
Or do you
drawn.
do all for this hours on this?
Okay. So that's how monopoly is competitive firm, and that's what's going to happen in the monopoly competitive market, right? Okay, so, and I want to go back to a couple of things here. So we talk about market power in this market come from the differentiation. People differentiate their product. What kind of strategy, marketing strategy they use to differentiate their product?
You said it again.
So one of the characteristic in this market is people, the firm differentiate their product, right? What kind of thing or what kind of marketing strategy they do in order to differentiate their product from everybody else.
The price discrimination?
Uh,
Differentiation, or is that just differentiating the price?
Differentiating not price, differentiating product. Yeah. So how do they differentiate their product from everybody else?
They offer exclusives.
They can offer something that other places do not have, okay? Or they can use advertisement. You think what does advertisement do? Advertisement make us plant the seed in our brain, tell us, okay, recognize our product, but not everything else. So advertisement is a tool to achieve the product differentiation. And also in this market, there is a term it's called this. Brand equity, okay? And we have a lot of ladies, and an eye cream from Lancome costs $50-$60, okay? If you buy a brand from Walmart, costs probably $10 to $15.
Eye cream.
What's that difference? Brand equity. Because Lancome claims that if you use our brand, your wrinkle will go away in 1 month. I'm just saying it, So they use this kind of brand equity to maintain a higher price. And a lot of customers are loyal to a certain brand, so they're willing to pay that higher price, pay that price difference. So brand equity is what a monopolist competitor should do, go to charge a higher price. Any other questions on what has talked about so far?
So, brand equity is part of how they differentiate their product.
Brand equity itself means the difference of the price, the higher margin of the price, because there's a word equity there. That means the higher price. For example, Lancome costs $60, and you buy the from Walmart costs $15. That difference there, that $45 difference is equity, okay? But where's that equity come from? Come from the brand. That's why we named it brand equity. Any other question on this market? Any other question on this market? Okay, so I'm going to use the rest of time to maybe talk, I'm going to actually talk about question 1, okay? I think that's the only time we have so far. I think this has been problematic for a lot of people. So I'm going to talk about question 1.
Can you do the past one? It's
Not yet. Yet.
So we giving this midterm back?
Already give it back. What's your name?
no, we're saying, are you gonna?
Are
give-
you gonna, do you want it back?
Oh, you
want
keep
them
them.
back.
You
Okay.
keep them. Already record brain.
I was about to say it.
Okay, so I'm going to start with the marginal product column. Okay.
Want to do this for real. If she put this on
I'm going to go with marginal product. Okay, what is marginal product? Okay, pay attention to me if you lose a lot of points here. Okay. Marginal product is the difference. Okay, it's a difference of the total product whenever you increase your labor by 1 more unit. Okay. So when you increase labor from here 0 to 1, you know the increase of the output is 60, right? Okay. When you increase from 1 to 2, the change of the total product is 90. So in this column, it's just the difference between the number at this row and the number and then the last row, okay? So this is pretty straightforward here. And most of you got this part right. Okay. But actually a lot of them did not get this right. What is AP?
It's just the actual.
Total output divided by, I'm sorry, divide, not by Q. Divide by labor units.
That's for AP. Right.
Average product.
Oh, so I did.
Okay, average product is the total product divided by the labor unit, which means on average, what each labor, how much each labor produce. So you have the TP here, the label TP here, and L is here, so you use the number here divided by the number here. Three, 62.5, 54, 46.67.
Oh, I can't believe I did this right. That's
Okay.
crazy.
What I'm surprised about the next column here. Average fixed cost.
Yeah, yeah.
Average fixed cost is equal to what? Total fixed cost divided by what? Q.
Q.
So this is also TP, also you can call it Q. So we have this one is equal to the total fixed cost divided by. Do we know the total fixed cost? 100. Okay. And do we know the Q? Q is here. So you use 100 to divide all these numbers. Are you guys following me on this? Do you guys follow me on this? 100 for this column is 100 divided by those numbers.
Oh, wow. So I feel so stupid.
I did that right.
I thought that's what it was. I just put in sugar.
And if we give it a number here, this is 1.67. This is 0.67. 0.45. 0.37. 0.36. Right? Average fixed cost. Average variable cost
ABC.
is equal to the total variable cost
See, that's what I mean.
divided by Q. What is total variable cost? The money you spend on what? On labor. Okay? The money you spend on labor. When you hire one worker, how much money you spend on labor?
$15.
$15. When you hire two workers, how much money you spend? 30. Okay, so for the first one, it's $15 divided by 60. The output. When you hire two workers, it's $30 divided by 150. Okay? You guys follow me on this? Okay. So the number on this should be, let me get some correct answers. 0.25. Oh, hold on. This is no. This is 0.25. This is 0.2. 0.2. 0.24. 0.28. 0.32. The next one is average total cost, which is equal to the total cost divided by Q.
So total cost.
If you got these two columns right, you can just add these two numbers. But again, let's see if you got them right. If you got them wrong, you add them up. Okay, so, and the formula to use is total cost divided by Q. Okay, how do we find total cost for each row? The total cost for here, 100 plus 15. Fixed cost plus the variable cost. Total cost for the second column here, second row is 100 plus 30. So are you guys, is this straightforward? Now you know how to do it?
I had to dig to get something. It was hard to get this.
You got it? Okay.
But not
How about the rest of you? Okay, so the total cost here is 115 divided by 60. This is 130 divided by 150. Okay, so eventually the number here is 1.92. This is 187. 165. 164, 165, 168. So if you got them right, these two numbers add up together should be equal to that. Okay? The very last column here is the marginal cost. Okay, marginal cost is the difference of the total cost every time you produce one more unit, right? Okay, so the formula for the marginal cost is change of total cost divided by change of Q. So how do we do it? The change of total cost from 0 to 1 here, what is the change of total cost?
1.
Change of total cost. The total cost right here, so I don't have this one, okay. This should be 100. This one is 100. So this is from the first row. So when the labor is equal to 1, when the labor is equal to 1, your total cost is 115. But before your total cost is equal to 100. So the increase of the total cost is equal to what?
15.
Just 15, okay? So the increase of total cost when you hire one more worker is just the charge, the cost on that worker. Because fixed cost already there, it's not gonna change, okay? So the change of total cost is 15, but what is the change of output? You produce 60 now before you produce 0. So the difference of the output is 60. Okay? Second one, when you hire 2 workers, the change of total cost again is $15, right? Okay? But the change of the cost is what? Now you change of the change of output is from 150 to 60. So that's 90.
I just took this TC divided by
She just
Because all the
stopped
values
taking
were
damn
right.
bullshit out.
like the change in TC divided by.
That probably is right. Yeah, so 90 is just
It might not always work out that way. I'll remember to.
that's right, that's right. Actually, yeah. So actually another shortcut is you just instead of remembering this, this actually is just this column,
Yeah.
right? You guys follow me on this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so eventually the number here is 0.25, 0.17, 0.21, 0.5, 0.75, and 1.5. Alright? And for part C, I tell you, the market price is 50 cents. Okay? Market price equal to 50 cents. you have to use that profit maximizing rule P equal to MC, right? Find where the MC equal to 0.5.
I didn't get that right.
You have 4 workers, produce 250 cents,
I got half of it.
then your MC is exactly equal to 50 cents. Okay, so that's part C. Part B, when does law of diminishing return take effect? This question asks you about this column. When does it start decreasing? You can say from 2 or from 3, the either one will be fine. That's all.
So that's what you wanted to answer.
Yeah.
Hey, Doc.
Mark,
You just broke it down.
wrong.
Okay.
Wow, what was she wanting to ask?
I put your marginal product against the peak, but she marked it actually wrong. She wanted to do that chart. So basically, I would have got it right if she had asked me.
Yeah.
Couldn't get it.
That one I got it wrong. Not everybody.
Nah, those slides don't go, man. You gotta get the book. That book is so much more helpful.
No, but the slides help me out. Last test I got like an 80 something on it.
I remember that,
Book is
Caleb.
word for word.
Okay, I remember that.
Like word for word.
Is it just
Literally
not
copies the book.
I don't even have a book. I mean, I got an online book.
Talk to you during